I'm Howard Eskin. Phillies baseball season will begin very shortly. April 5th is opening. These preseason games really don't, today's world, don't get everybody excited, but opening day I'm sure will get people excited. We'll take a look at the Phillies, and one person who has taken a look at the Phillies is Jason Weitzel, who has put together a book, Phillies 2009 Annual, published by the Maple Street Press. And Jason, welcome to the show.
Well, what do they always say? First time, long time. For me, it's a first time, very, very long time. I've been listening to your show a long time. This is a real honor to be on your show, Howard. Thanks for having me on.
Well, that's thanks. So you're from the area.
Oh, yeah.
All right. And obviously this was a labor of love for you then.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
So what do you take away, and what did you take away in your book from last season?
From last season, well, I mean, it was obviously an incredible ride. Everything you could have hoped came true, winning the World Series and lifting the burden off of Philadelphia. So it was just a magical ride. And the real difficulty in putting this book together, which is a look at the 2009 team, was trying to not make it a 2008 retrospective, because there's so many good stories from the 2008 team. But you have to move forward. It's a new season. They start fresh. So, like you mentioned earlier, we took a look at some different things. For example, a comparison between Pat Burrell and Raul Ibanez, who's going to be taking his place in left field. Try to look at it from some different perspectives, and really putting some information in this magazine you can't get anywhere else. So there's a lot of different things in there, and it was a real pleasure to put together. You
know what? Okay, so let's take a look at Ibanez and Pat Burrell. I've talked to people who don't believe that Ibanez is going to be able to fill that role offensively. How do you look at it, and looked at it in the book?
Well, they're really similar coming, when you factor in all the park factors and everything else, plus the fact that Ibanez is another left-handed bat in that lineup. He's not going to get the RBI chances he used to get in Seattle. I mean, he might be hitting sixth or something, so it's going to really limit him. Plus, I think the thing that people are overrating about Ibanez is his defense, and defense is something that I think statisticians have been really struggling with, but GMs are really looking at hard. He's really not a very good outfielder. He's not going to give you much of a lift over Burrell. Now, Burrell was a real flat-footed defender, but he had a good arm. Ibanez is a little bit faster, I'm told, but his arm isn't as good. So offensively as well, they're really similar. So I think at best we're going to be hoping that they cancel each other out. At worst, at age 36, it could be a real disappointing thing with Ibanez here.
You know what? So you don't think Ibanez's defense is that much different than Pat Burrell?
Well, you look at some of the zone ratings and some of these advanced stats, and I'm not seeing it. Plus, when they signed him, I went and read some of those stories from the Seattle papers. They've been watching him a long time. Now, he was really regarded as a good player in Seattle, but even they said his defense was not that good. Now, you don't expect much out of that position. It's left field after all, but for the investment that they made, it's 3 years, $10 million per, something like that. And you look at what some other guys got, including Burrell, 8 years, $16 million. I don't know. It was kind of a screwy winter. I don't think anyone could really predict the way things unfolded. So it's interesting. We'll have to wait and see.
All right. So when you look at 2009, as everyone here in town knows, there's not been a repeat winner for a world championship in the National League for over 30 years. Have you thought about why? And that's part of what the Phillies have to deal with. They have to overcome a part of history which hasn't been a part of history, a repeat world champion in the National League. It's been over 30 years.
Yeah, and
how do they do that?
Well, the other thing they have to overcome, too, is what you always talk about on your show, is so many teams are in it until the very end. I mean, these teams don't fall out of the race because of the wild card. Everyone's in it. They're at least comparable to the Mets. And, hey, watch out for the Marlins this year as well, and watch out for the Braves, who retooled their entire starting rotation. I'm really scared, actually, for the Marlins. I mean, their young rotation, if they're healthy, they could be pretty dominant. So they have to overcome a lot of things. They have to get back to that level after the emotional high of winning a World Series. Plus, they have all this adversity within their own division. Everyone's going to be gunning for them. It's going to be tough, and they're 1 year older too. But they're really at the prime of their careers. It's a great team. I think we just have to sit back and enjoy the ride right now. The window is definitely still open, but it is difficult.
All right, and another one of the things you look at in the book is pitching this coming year. And when you look at pitching, you look at Jamie Moyer at 46 years old. I don't know how long he can keep on doing it.
Yeah. Well, he's going to hit the wall in Philadelphia.
He's got 2 years. Unless he can pitch past the age of 47, it's going to be over here in Philadelphia. But does that worry you at all when you look forward to 2009?
Yeah, it does. He's in rare company. I mean, there's only so much the human body can do when you're a pitcher. But I don't want to take anything away from Jamie Moyer. He had a very good season last year. I mean, you talk about a guy who I think, watching what he did in Seattle, then coming to Philadelphia, it's teaching an old dog new tricks. I mean, he's figured out a way to pitch in that park. When they first got him, I thought, boy, this is a bandbox. He's going to get smoked. No, that hasn't happened at all. He just throws that junk down and away. Batters are mushing balls into the ground, especially the younger teams like the Nationals and the Marlins. They haven't solved him yet. So, but am I concerned about Moyer? Yeah, obviously. I mean, he's 46. So, but there's concerns all up and down the rotation. I mean, Brett Myers, he always figures out a way to disappoint you. But what are you going to get from him? So, we'll have to see there too.
And one of the other parts of this book is what's called the bandbox myth, an examination of Citizens Bank Park through weather patterns and park factors. I don't think it's a myth. Do you believe? Do you believe that Citizens Bank Park is not a bandbox?
Well, there's certain times of the year, Howard, when balls get knocked down there by the wind, and I think pushing that fence back has made a difference. This was a way to examine it from all different sides. And again, this was another article done by Tom Goyne, who also wrote the Ibanez comparison with Pearl, and tackled it from a couple different perspectives, even looking at weather patterns and so forth. But there's a lot of times, it seems, at Citizens Bank Park where the wind pushes it in and it keeps the ball in the yard. However, dead of summer, I mean, the place plays like a phone booth. It's just, it's really hitter friendly. But the other thing to remember,
so it's not a myth. I mean, you have some numbers in here. Phillies hit 113 home runs and surrendered 115, where the league average is 91 home runs at home and allowing 90. So it's 25 over the average around the league.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the park factor this year, I don't have the numbers in front of me, unfortunately, but as far as park factors go, I don't think it ranked that high as far as being a pitcher-friendly park. But there's so many different ways to tackle it, Howard. How much of it over the years has been having a lineup that was stacked with power hitters? And in the early part, how much of it was having pitchers who had a tendency to throw the home run ball? I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can look at it. Now, my personal opinion, yeah, it's a hitter-friendly park, but is it the ridiculous hitter-friendly park that everyone's making it out to be? I'm not sure that it is. But it's interesting. I mean, people are welcome to pick up a copy of the magazine and read the article. It's a good article, and it just makes you think about things a little differently. All
right, and you take a look at the prospects. Which prospects do you foresee coming up and playing with the Phillies this year at any time during the year for a sizable chunk of the time?
Yeah, people are really excited about prospects this time of year, and they see some things in spring trading. I have a more practical opinion about which prospects we'll see. I think the guy we'll see is Happ, and that's like a no-brainer to me. He ended the year in the rotation last year, so he has the most open opportunity here on this club. And I think you're right, Howard. I think it's going to come down to Shannon Park in the rotation and Happ in the bullpen, just because they need that left-hander in the bullpen. Happ's, I think, 25 or 26 years old. Mm. He's learned all he can in the minor leagues. It's time to really turn him loose, I think. And if it means in the bullpen, then so be it. You get him in the majors. He's a left-hander. He can help you out there. Because Scott Air, being the only lefty in the pen, that doesn't really work for me.
Yeah, that's a problem. All right, the book is Phillies 2009 Annual. It's published by Maple Street Press, and Jason Weitzel is our guest. Jason, where is this available? Tell people how they can get it.
Barnes & Noble, Borders, Price Clubs, CVS, and online at maplestreetpress.com. You should see it all around the Delaware Valley, so look for wherever magazines are sold.
Okay. All right, Jason, I appreciate the time and good job with the book.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Let's do it again real soon.
Okay. You got it. All right.